My next guest tonight has been leading the charge to bring the New York State Legislature into the digital age. Specifically, he wants to cut down on the amount of paper that is wasted in the Capitol. It is a lot of paper. Assemblyman Jim Tedisco introduced new legislation today that would stop the printing of memos and other documents and instead make these available digitally. His plan also includes a constitutional amendment that would end the mandatory printing of bills, both in an effort to save money and defenseless trees. Assemblyman Jim Tedisco is joining me in the studio tonight. How are you?
Liz, I'm doing great. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and the same to your YNN viewers.
Thank you. I'm sure they thank you too. And you've brought us props.
Yeah, well, this is the Legislative Digest. We get one of these, all 212 legislators, every week. It's not even the legislation itself. It's just a summary of it and those people who are sponsoring it.
Right.
We're spending hundreds and
Here,
thousands.
hold that up again.
Okay.
This is what it looks like.
Hundreds
okay,
and
good.
thousands of millions of dollars in paperwork and printing.
Got it.
At a time when we're $10 billion in deficit, we're cutting long-term health care assistance, we're cutting aid to education, EPIC programs being reduced. The governor says we should do more with less. We should reinvent ourselves. I can't think of a better way to reinvent ourselves than to come into the 21st century with our technology. We don't need these sent to our offices. We can be sent on a little device like this, which is called a Kindle.
Yep.
As you know, I can get it on my
This is not
phone,
product placement, people,
laptop.
by the way. I just, you know, you could use any sort of handheld device. I don't think that you just want a Kindle per se.
No.
But it could be anything.
It could be any device. And we all have computers in our office. And what I'm saying, if it's $500,000, if it's $1 million, in fact, we've asked the governor, as you know, to bring in what I call the Geek Squad, those individuals from Facebook and Google and all those individuals who know about how to message in a technical way, that's the 21st century, and audit the agencies and the legislature and the authorities.
The reason why is because you and the Assembly Democrats differ on exactly how much money we're talking about that could be saved here. Now, you said, I'm referring to something I had written earlier, you're 20,000 pages plus printed a year, right? This at 2 cents a page, according to the Assembly Democrats, that's $400,000 last year. You're saying maybe even upwards of 26 million. Somewhere in there is a medium, right? And it's probably more than 400,000, but less than 26 million.
I would say so. But even if it's 400 to $500,000 in the Assembly, let's look at the Senate. There's another $500,000. If we follow their guidelines in terms of the amount, then you get to all the authorities, you get to the 60 different agencies, you get to the universities. We get report after report after report. There's a picture that you may have seen of me outside after the one House budget was completed, with stacks upon stacks of legislation piled this high. The rope was still tied around those budget bills. Nobody hardly even read them. I'd say 2% read them. They summarized probably them in the conferences. So I think we can do it better. I think we can move into the 21st century, and also I think we can help the environment.
Okay, we're looking at you right now. Actually, we are looking at these bills. You see these bins all the time, all over the Capitol. It really is an awful lot of paper. But let me ask you: you introduced legislation today on paper, right?
That's right. I said this will be the bill to end all bills, but unfortunately we've got to actually do it legislatively according to the rules right now. 2 bills, as you mentioned, a constitutional reform bill, which changes the laws about having the bills printed on our desk, and we have stacks this high. We could put a Kindle or a laptop on our desk. And the other bill, which deals with all the other memos, all the other large reports that we get from agencies like this, which end up in those bins that you were talking about. So both of those bills are important. And by the way, we've got 3 very powerful sponsors, Senator Zeldin, Senator Ball, and Senator Libous in the Senate, who are sponsoring this, and 9 or 10 different sponsors in the New York State Assembly.
Okay, and the problem is, though, that you don't have a majority sponsor in the Assembly. You have majority sponsors in the Senate. All of those 3 gentlemen are Republicans.
We have Mr. Thiel, who is an independent, but conferences with the majority.
Right.
He is sponsoring the bill.
Okay,
so
but
we're inside the conference.
You're close. You're within spitting distance. You need to get it basically through committee and onto the floor. I'd be surprised if people wouldn't vote for this, because it's not something that is actually new. It's actually something that a number of states, including California, Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, not New York.
Yeah, we're not reinventing the wheel. We are the Empire State, but we didn't come in first in moving into the 21st century with technology and saving a lot of tax dollars. But Assemblywoman Galef, who is on the other side of the aisle, has a bill which is similar. but it only says that we can get this through laptops and Kenlins and things like this, but we also will still continue to print the individual stuff. That's kind of a duplication. What I want to do is eliminate as much paperwork as possible, still have it accessible, and the technology allows for that. So I think it's really a no-brainer. No matter how much money we're going to save, any amount that we could save on behalf of the taxpayers, when we're cutting aid to education, I think it's significant.
Well, and already you know that there are members, I see them on the floor all the time. They've got laptops with them.
Absolutely.
They've got Blackberries. They've got handhelds. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they actually might even do a little bit more reading if, in fact, the bills were available in this format, in an online format.
I think that's the case. You could move there much quicker, probably through your laptop or your Kindle.
Well, they are there. We should say you can get them online. I mean, I read them online too. Yeah. But if they were only there,
there wouldn't be the duplication. There wouldn't be these bins full of paperwork. And I think if you go over to the landfill in Albany, you're going to see a lot of legislative digests and a lot of pieces of legislation. Hopefully not Assemblyman Jim Tedisco's legislation, but a lot of pieces of. And the document rooms themselves, we haven't even talked about that. They're just stacked up thousands of pounds and thousands of bills in 4 to 5 different document rooms.
It is a fire hazard, actually.
It is a fire hazard.
I want to thank you so much, Assemblyman, for coming in. We will be tracking this because it's catching on. It's catching on.
My pleasure, Liz. Thank you for having me.